Welcome to the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jesse Green, the show where great dentistry meets great business. Listen in each week as we bring you an inspiring person who will share their story, ideas and business techniques to help you create a practice and a life you love. And now introducing your host, Dr. Jesse Green.
Hi everyone, it's Jesse Green here. Welcome back to SavvyDentist.com and to the Savvy Dentist podcast. It is great to have your company for another episode of our show. Now, if you're a motivated, driven, enthusiastic practice owner and you want to get more from your practice, whether that's having more fun, more free time, earning more money, whatever it is for you, please come along to the Savvy Dentist Facebook group and join us there. If you're a practice owner, you're going to get a whole lot of stuff that's going to help you on your journey, whether it's training, tools, resources to help you have more fun, have more free time, indeed have more income. Then you're going to find something there for you. So all you need to do is head across to Facebook, search for Savvy Dentist, answer the questions, the membership questions there, and we'd love to welcome you there if you're a practice owner. So just jump online, do that, and we'd love to see you there. Now, tonight's episode is a little bit different, and I wanted to share something with you because I'm really regularly asked for book recommendations, and I'm an avid reader. I love reading. I love learning things. Learning things is one of my core values. I just enjoy it a great deal. And of course, when it comes to running a business, there's a bit of a myth that entrepreneurs are made somehow in the womb and they're birthed with this DNA and they somehow learn everything just by osmosis, or they've been gifted it from the gods. And of course, nothing could be further from the truth. Learning about running a business is a skill. It's a skill that can be learned. It's a skill that can be mastered. And what we need to be able to do is to find the right pieces of information that resonate with us. So because I'm an avid reader and because I get asked for lots of book recommendations, I thought I'd take a few minutes tonight to share some of the books that have made a really big difference in my life, share with you one or two key points from those books, and as part of the episode, I'll put a link to a resource that you might find really helpful, and it's called Top Books to Transform a Practice Owner's Life. So without any further ado, let's start with book number one. And book number one is a very little book. It's called Skill with People, and the author is Les Giblin. Now, I came across this book when I was getting started in network marketing. Many of you know I had my start in network marketing, or one of my starts in network marketing. My very first start was in business was at high school, but shortly after that, I got involved with network marketing. And this book, Skill with People, really helped me understand the art of listening. It really helped me understand the art of phrasing questions and framing things and understanding that I didn't need to be right. And one of my early mentors used to say to me, Jesse, do you want to be rich or do you want to be right? And at that young age, I kind of wanted to be both. Now I understand the wisdom in what he was saying. And I wanted to achieve my outcomes, my objectives. And so I communicate much more strategically, much more intentionally as a result of this book. Just loaded with pearls of wisdom, because if you can get your hand on this book, not only grab yourself a copy, but grab a copy for anyone you care about. It is that good. It's not in print that often these days, so if you can get a copy, just do it, and you'll be all the richer for it. So the second book I want to share with you is called The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, this is an old book. It's written by George Clason. It's one of those very early personal finance books. It's written as a fable. And this is a book that gives you the very basics of personal finance and how to make money. Now, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're an experienced business owner, whether you're getting started, I really believe in mastering fundamentals. And the fundamentals outlined in this book have stood the test of time. In fact, this book has been published in different languages. It's got how many million printed around the world. And of course, there's been many derivative books from all spouting the same thing. But the source book, This Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason, is an absolute beauty. Now, what's really interesting about this book, I believe, is the principles outlined really relate to personal finance, but as practice owners, those same principles apply to our businesses as well. It's a thin book. It's not a hard read. It's actually a really pleasant read because it's told as a story. And I'd really encourage you to get a hold of that book and to really start thinking about those lessons. And as I said, really excellence is about mastering the fundamentals. And so my experience tells me that many people are doing a lot of things well, but there might be a couple of fundamentals that have slipped over the years. So that's book number 2. Now, book number 3 I'd like to share tonight is called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. This is a great book because it really allows you to keep focused on the things that matter most. Of course, when it comes to today's world, there's 100 million things that we could be doing, feel like we ought to be doing, feel guilty that we're not doing. And of course, it's easy to get sidetracked and distracted and start spending our most precious resource, which is our time, on the activities that don't really make a difference, the things that don't move the needle. So in this book called Essentialism, Greg McKeown makes the case for focusing simply on the essentials and nothing else. But not only that, he shows you how to do it in practice. I think it's a great book. I'd really, really encourage you to get a copy of it. Now, of course, another book that I'd really recommend everyone reads it's a classic book. It's called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. And in that book, he outlines his 6 principles of influence, plus a few other psychological shortcuts as well. And that book is the staple of anyone who's been involved in case presentation or sales or anything like that. If you've ever wanted to influence a person and their decision making, then this book is a must read. I'd really encourage you to read it. It's probably been read more than most books when it comes to sales, and for very good reason. It is an absolute classic of a book, and I'd really encourage you to read it. Now, another book I'd really encourage you to read is called The Ultimate Marketing Plan by Dan Kennedy. Now, Dan Kennedy is a personal mentor of mine. He's someone who's mentored me personally in masterminds as well as from afar through his teachings. And Dan Kennedy is someone who has been around for a long time. He's a bit of a grumpy old man in a sense, but he is the professor of harsh reality. And The Ultimate Marketing Plan is a great book if you want to have an overall view of marketing, if you want to understand marketing, the fundamentals of marketing that don't change irrespective of the time, the place, the platform, then you're going to want to get a copy of that book. The Ultimate Marketing Plan is a terrific read. And of course, I wanted to share a book around teams. And this particular book is called Teams of Teams by General Stanley McChrystal. And what I really liked about this book was how Stanley McChrystal made the case for changing organizational hierarchy. Most businesses operate in a very hierarchical structure, much like the military does. And what happened is when they went to Iraq and they moved into Afghanistan, the Taliban and the Iraqis were basically giving the Americans a hiding, particularly the Taliban. And what they found is the Taliban had a very decentralized organizational structure that was nimble and agile and was able to act independently of the head office, so to speak. And so what General McChrystal did was they studied their organizational hierarchy of the Taliban and they adopted some very similar principles for the US coalition forces. And what ended up happening is as they adopted these principles, they had much better results in their ability to combat the Taliban. Now, history shows us, of course, that Afghanistan has since been handed back to the Taliban, but the lessons around decentralizing control and freeing up people to think and act independently and moving the decision-making to the source is really important. So is the concept of transparency so that people have the knowledge they need to do their job. And I think for anyone who's interested in scaling their business, anyone who wants to get off the tools and run a business that doesn't require them to be there every moment of every day, then I'm going to encourage you to get a copy of this book because I think it is just an absolutely fantastic read. So another book, my final book I want to share with you is a book by John Warrillow called Built to Sell. Now, I was fortunate to interview John Warrillow on this podcast a little while ago. I'd encourage you to go back to that episode and have a listen. But Built to Sell is a fantastic book which goes through a fictional story about a man who wants to sell his advertising agency and all the challenges that he's got in the current situation is, working, which is key person dependency, difficult team members, difficult customers, financing issues and and how he methodically goes about restructuring his business so that he can sell it. In other words, how he creates a very valuable asset. Now, most people here won't be ready to sell their practice, and that's totally cool. but understanding that if you've got a valuable practice, you can sell it at any time depending on your circumstances. So this is all about creating enterprise value in your business. It's a deceptively simple book. It's a wonderful read. I would encourage you to read it from cover to cover many times over, highlight it, underline it, do whatever you need to do. Go back and listen to our podcast with John Warrillow because there's a ton of good stuff in there. And I really enjoyed this book. Now, just as a fun fact, when I wrote my book, Retention, which I hope you'll all read as well, I modeled the size of the book off John Warrillow's book, Built to Sell. I got my ruler out, I measured the size of the cover on that, and I thought that's a good size for a book. I like that size, and I modeled it off John Warrillow's Built to Sell. So fun fact there. So of course, please do go out and read Retention. Of course, that's the book I wrote, which is all about understanding how to protect the number one asset in your practice, which is your database, how to stop the profit leaks and how to make sure that you protect that database by retaining your patients, which we know is good business no matter what the economic circumstances may be. You've got to retain your patient base. No point attracting new patients if you're losing them. And of course, that just makes intuitive sense. So please grab a copy of that if that makes sense to you. So there you go. There's a couple of book recommendations for you. Now, in the show notes, I'm going to put a link in there for a document called Top Books to Transform a Practice Owner's Life. And this is a reading list I give my own clients. I hope you find it helpful and I hope you find it useful. So for now, have a great week and I look forward to talking to you soon. All right, bye now.
Thank you for listening to the Savvy Dentist podcast. For more episodes, go to drjessegreen.com/savvydentist. And to discover how to build a high-performance dental practice, visit drjessegreen.com and download the free report.